Let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? What's up, Les? What's happening, everyone? What's up, Peter? Play a little music here. My stream health looks like it's not great yet. $600,000. Whoops. Yeah, I can't believe it. Crazy. From London, Trevor, man, what time is it? 5 hours later, 2 in the morning. Yeah, so 600,000 yesterday. 601,000 today. Just ticking it off to get to 1 million. Now I need 399,000. 398 something. 320 in the morning, 317. Look at that. What's up, Dave? Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Tom. Everybody. Sorry I haven't been on as much lately. One of my, I've said this before, but until I find an assistant, it's starting to wear on me as far as the it's not the work is wearing on me. It's just that I don't have the free time to come on and do things. What's up, Ron? To come on here more often. I don't have things taken care of. A lot of the I've got so much email stuff going on. I have just so much busy work to do. A lot more. I'm doing all the editing. I'm doing all the shooting myself. Everything. But it's interesting. I was dropped my kids off at my sister-in-law's today, and my nephew Brady and Dylan are really close. Brady's a year older than Dylan. He's 12. So all those guys do is watch YouTube all the time. And so they were critiquing my... They were telling me that I need to get an editor, a video editor, because all the big YouTube channels, all the guys they watch that have, 10 million subscribers, all have editors. And I said, how do you guys know that? And they said, well, they have them in the shows sometimes. And they said, none of the guys edit their own videos. Oh, Ron, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, man. Wow. Ron, very sorry to hear that about your wife. It's you never take your health or anything for granted. Ah. My condolences, Ron. Mm. 10 things Pat Metheny won't tell me in an interview. Ron, I'm glad I came on tonight. I'm glad I came on. Keep this community alive here. So one of the, so my kids are telling me, or my nephew and Dylan were telling me, I need an editor so that I have more time to do things like come on here, and and I I don't have any prospects, so I'm if anyone has any suggestions, um, I would welcome them. Email me because I really I want to get a video editor. I think I don't need anyone with content creation. Um, so editing in Final Cut Pro. Um, I want somebody that lives in the United States. It's um, it's tough. It's been tough. My last three people, right, with Carol, Michelle, and Aaron, all are not, they don't have their, they can't stay unless they, well, Aaron is okay, but and Michelle's okay now because she's going to grad school, but Carol is still trying to figure out. She's trying to get an artist visa. Um, so, anyways, if anyone knows of anyone video editor that knows how to use Final Cut Pro, that's an expert at it, not somebody that's just oh, I know it a little bit. Somebody that really knows how to do it. Um, check some university programs from interns. That's a good idea, Mike. But a lot of young kids are that I've had are. Um, does the video editor have to have perfect pitch? No, no. I'm over the perfect pitch people. I need to find people that are that. I mean, I need to find somebody that's full time. You should have been reading instruction Final Cut to Dylan when he was still in the room along the playing music. Yeah. Um, I need to find somebody like my assistant Ken, but he can't do it. He's he's just not in a point right now where where he can really do it. So, but I do need somebody that lives in Atlanta. Um, that really has skills in that area. I've decided, I've given up on the musicians. I just don't need that stuff. The stuff that's most time consuming is the editing part. Um, I need something more stable, Bob. Exactly. How about Brendan O'Brien? That's funny. Funny guy. VA. What? What? You mean asking Brendan? No, he doesn't even live here anymore. Um, I need a pro, not a music geek. Well, I need somebody that is a music, has some understanding in music because there are, there are parts of this that are kind of dependent on. Oh, Brendan used to live here, VA. He used to live here in town. He moved though. He moved to California. Um, yeah, video. Loretta Billingsley, professional editor, Atlanta, Georgia. Huh. Can you send me an email with her info to my Rick Beato one Gully? That'd be great. Um, would I play Fortnite? No, I don't. I don't play Fortnite. Check out Stage 32. What's that, Peter? I don't know what that is. Bob is exactly right. They need to understand my brand. That's correct. There's an ad for online video editors. No, I don't want any online video editors. Now, there is something about the editing that, Ronnie, it's not about my editing skills necessarily. It's about, I've got a blue tint on my face. Well, yeah, right now I do. Um, Lots of people in films. Okay. Um, um, get the best. Well, I like editing my videos, but I don't like editing. I don't like to. I don't know. It's really tough. It's really tough to decide. I talk to Aaron, and Aaron tells me I need somebody to do editing, um, because that's the most time consuming thing. And it's an issue of time. That's exactly right, Luke. That's all it is. It's not that I mind doing it. Um, I mean, I am focusing on the. I am focused. I'll check that out, Peter. Thank you. Um, it's not that I like doing the editing part, and in some ways, the the editing of the videos is completely intertwined uh, with me editing it myself. Gives me complete control. I'll give you a great example. This is the perfect analogy. In the last year that I was producing, I did a lot of singer-songwriters. Now, my assistant Ken worked with me for years and years and years, right? 17 years, 18 years. I mean, just in the other day, we're working on a project together. We're doing a bunch of Kemper profiles of all my amplifiers that we're going to put out. Um, so when I was working on singer-songwriters, I get hired by a label or a manager, whoever, artist, and they would hire me because they want me to play all the parts. And if I'm in the control room and I'm sitting 5 feet away from the from Pro Tools and Ken is running Pro Tools and I want to keep running takes, if I am trying to come up with a part, for example, well, I might go over the same couple bars 20 times. I don't want to keep saying, okay, yeah, no, just punch me in there again. No, try it again there. Again there. I want to change the sound a little bit. It's just, I can just do it myself. And so I stopped having Ken come in on these projects when I get to the overdub stage. He'd track the drums. He'd track, if there were other players, he'd come in and track. But when I was doing my parts, I wouldn't need him because it was the same kind of thing. It would actually, I needed to have control over the editing. I needed to have control over just running the program because a lot of the creative decisions I was making while I was doing it. And the same thing with this. I use Final Cut Pro exactly as I use Pro Tools. It's kind of important that I edit it, but there's a lot of things in the editing. For example, when I do those music history things and I need clips from videos and I need specific parts, I need, less than 10 seconds or something. Or of the best part of someone's piano solo or guitar solo or something like that. Well, if somebody's not a musician, they're not going to know that. That's the drag of that. really Ken, out of all the people, he's the only person that I know that knows when somebody's playing something good. He's got such a good ear and good taste that I could trust him to go through and say, okay, these are great. If I said, go pick out 5 of the best Jeff Beck licks off YouTube from videos, okay, he's going to get 5 of the best licks because he's got incredible taste. That's a really, really big part of this, right? So that's not just the editing thing. This is what is so difficult for having a music YouTube channel like this, is that there's so much information that a person needs to have in order to do the editing, or even to pull things from certain places, to put titles in. There's notation in videos here, and it's there's just so many elements to this. It's just tough. It's just tough. Aaron was perfect, okay? Aaron was perfect because Aaron has incredibly good taste in music. He understands how to do all these programs. He's great with ideas. Rhett, same thing. Rhett is incredibly good, but he's doing his own thing, right? Aaron's doing his own thing. So there are people here, but they have their own things going on. Do I need somebody to notate anything in finale? I do need people. I don't know. The notation stuff that I've been doing for my videos, I don't. Most of the stuff I can do so fast now. It's not that big a deal. If it's a solo that I need to transcribe or something, I'll farm it out. Something that I just don't have time to do. Take a film music genius, take the raw footage, make magic out of it. I don't make videos like that. The only things that work like that, VA, are is if you have a storyboard and you have a lot of extra footage. And you can't outsource stuff like that on the internet. I'm not outsourcing anything. Because all of my ideas I come up with instantly, and I start filming instantly. And I made a video that's coming out tomorrow. What's up, Hassan? Good to see you too. I made a video that's coming out tomorrow morning, and I shot it all in 20 minutes. It's an 8-minute video. I shot 20 minutes of video, and there were a lot of extra bits that I trimmed out of it. Nobody editing the video is going to know what things that I want to leave in and want to leave out. Now, they might be able to do things, little tricky kind of things with keyframe, stuff that animation, do things with like Nari does, with or I'm trying to think Nari is the best at doing those things. That her images that she does with her what does she call them? Slides. I think she calls them slides. My editing is a big part of the channel. That's pretty funny. I don't think of myself as even knowing. I just am starting to learn how to use a camera. But, no one knows exactly what I want except for me. Joe, that is so right. I edited that Frampton video. It was 55 minutes, and I edited it down to 45 minutes, or 40 minutes, So I edited 15 minutes out of it. And those 15 minutes were side roads into things that were unimportant. And no one's going to know what those things are. I mean, I have to be in control of all that. So, anyways, nobody's changing my brand. You hate videos that rely on quirky editing, gratuitous B-roll. I have no gratuitous B-roll. My videos are so straight. My videos are definitely so straight ahead that it's hilarious. Okay, so my friend Phil talked to Steve Lukather, and he said he would be happy to do an interview. Okay? So that's going to happen. He told me to email him tomorrow, which is amazing. I love Lukather. Yeah, so that's going to happen. I'm hoping it's going to happen when I go out to LA for the NAMM show. And I think the Larry Carlton interview is going to happen too. I'm pretty sure both of those are going to happen. Those videos are like 40, 50-second clips that would take forever to explain to an editor. Yeah. Yeah, if I had an editor, I still want Final Cut, no question about it. I mean, what they could do, what an editor could do is, I mean, what I might do if I don't know. It's really tough. It's really tough to decide about that. I tightened up all the questions for with Peter. Everything about it. I switched cameras when they, anytime that there was an edit in the video, so that it had a natural flow to it, so you don't see any edits in it. Because I used two cameras. Editor could get it to 90%. That's really what I'm thinking about, Bob. That's right. Editor could get it to 90%. Did Peter Frampton make one of my greatest guitar list videos? Of course. Of course he did. I mean, he had his own video. You wouldn't know anything was cut. Exactly, Frank. See that? He had a terrible cough. Peter did. He coughed about 50 times in it. And you didn't even know. I even covered him when he was going up to cough with his hand. I covered all those edits. So, and he kept apologizing for he was just getting over a cold. So, now obviously an editor could do that, but because you don't want to have that in there. What makes this song great? The Beatles? I can't do Beatles. I wish I could. I left in a few sniffs. I know, I couldn't do anything about that. Yeah, so the assistant would be really helpful for setting up shots as well, for actually doing the filming. That would be the other part of it, because that is that's time consuming. Okay, so let me say, I get your opinion about this. So Dylan and Brady were telling me my videos are not bright enough, okay, and my thumbnails are not colorful enough. So they were showing me, they were bringing up all the channels that they like, and they were showing me the thumbnails. And they were bringing up all these gaming ones, and they all have cutouts They all have a little white thing around their bodies, and they're, superimposed over some stuff that's really colorful. They're kid things. And I said, look, guys, I don't make little kid videos. And they said, well, your videos are very dark. And I said, well, that's kind of the style of them. But they had a really interesting point. The most big YouTubers have very bright videos. Not all. And I'm breaking the mold on that. But as of late, I've been I'm in the dark creative cave. I used to have a lot more. I would do a lot of outside shots in my early videos. Because I wear a black shirt all the time. The phase thumbnail, that's the one that they picked out, Hassan. That's exactly right. They said that phase video, they said, that's your best thumbnail. And so, and I said, well, I like that thumbnail, but one of the problems with it is that when you have white hair, even though my hair looks dark, my hair is really white. I don't know, it's the lighting's making it look really like it's got more black in it right now. When you have white hair and you stand in front of a white wall, these are things that I don't think about, okay? And then I take the picture, then I realize, oh my God, how do I get it to where my hair stands out from the thing? It's things like that. These are the things. So when I'm talking about the video, so the video I have coming out tomorrow, I just filmed over in another part here. I filmed about 30 feet from here, but it was in front of a window. And I've never done it there before. And I'm curious to see what you guys think about this. If you notice the difference in lighting. So, what's up, Martin? I think it looks good. The thumbnail that I put on today's video, if you guys can see that, is from tomorrow's video. I wonder if I can open it up here, the thumbnail. Okay, so here, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to turn it around. Let's see if I can do this here. Hold on. I can. Let me move this over here. I wonder if this will flip over to the other screen. Let's see here. Hold on. Why can't I get it to display the thing here? Let's see here. Go in here. Add another scene. Okay, what is this going to be? Hold on. Give me a second here. I wonder if I can do it here. No, I don't want another scene. I want another thing here. Hold on. I want to do the what would it be? Video capture device here? How do you do this? How do I go to the I guess you can't see it. Well, you'll see it tomorrow. I wanted to show you kind of what it looks like in the other room. I backlit the select Windows source for new screen. Okay. Oh, video shaking up and down. Oh, that's because my table here is wobbly. That's why, because I'm using the mouse. Let's see here. Wait, so how can I do it? Who was just telling me that? Set up a scene as a window capture. Okay. If I add display capture, there we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is from my video. Wait, hold on. Okay. You guys see that? Can everyone see that? This is from my video tomorrow. Can everyone see that? Okay, so this is just in the, you guys can see here, this is where the whiteboard's right behind my shoulder here. This is what my video looks like. This is me with natural light, and I'm backlighting this here. Okay, it's very simple. It's just in the next room over. But right here is where there's a window. So that's all natural light on me, and I'm being lit also. And I think this looks great because it gives me, can you guys see my arrow here? Can you guys see that with the arrow that I'm using here, the pointer? Everybody see that? It gives me a nice defined shape on my shirt, which I really like. Plus, no cursor, you can't see the cursor. I wonder, is there a way to change that where you see the arrow? Does anybody know how to do that? Okay, well, if you look at my hand, my left hand, you can see there's way better definition because of the light on my fingers. It's very easy to see. Wait, check the box in the setup. Can you be my assistant? No pointer. Check the box on the setup. What box is that? But you see the shirt detail though, right? My shoulders, you can see the line. Now I shouldn't have that base sticking up right there because it looks like it's sticking out. It's sticking out of my shoulder, but that needs to be put down. But the rest of it looks good. Have a light shining in the back towards you to separate you from the background. I kind of do. Actually, I do have a backlight. It's coming over from the right side. Yeah, see, it's easy to, you can just tell from that. So anyway, so that's with natural light. Now that's a very, very easy, on the screen setup options, you need to check the show cursor pointer. Where can you go in? Can I go in and edit that? Hold on, let's see here. Is that in the properties here? Properties. It says show cursor. Yeah, it's clicked. It says that it's showing cursor. Let's see here. Go back to it. You can't see that still? Put a light on the floor behind me and shine it up at the ceiling. Okay. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. It's very the brown paint doesn't give proper contrast. I know. What color should I paint? What color should I paint it though? Can you change to a lighter paint color? Easily can. The thing that I like about it is the brightness, though. I think that it's looks like a whiter shade of pale. Double K, come on, man. Jeez. That is pretty hilarious. Okay, now speaking of whiter shade of pale, okay, I'm gonna see if it actually gets by the and you see if it gets by the sensors here. I have whiter shade of pale. I don't do green screens. Okay. Hang on. I gotta import the Where's my whiter shade here? Hold on. I haven't even listened to this yet. I'm trying to think if this is going to be... you like a darker video, Julio. There you go. Okay, so here we go. Let's see here. But this is very loud. Hold on, I've got to... let me turn down the volume of it. Can you guys hear that? That's not coming from my desktop audio. Okay, hang on. I have to export these tracks. This is awesome. Whiter shade. Okay, there. Okay, so I have these save changes. Did I see a YouTube video, first search result? There are people saying here because of the Rick Beato interviewing Peter Frampton video. That's awesome. Okay, so if I open Pro Tools, let's see if this is going to work here. New, whiter shade. All right. Let's see if this works here. I want to test this here so that I can see if I can make a video of this. Okay, let's see if this actually works. Okay, I don't think it's routed to there, but you guys can hear it. It's all played live. Okay, so there's the track. I don't have it routed through this, so I can't really play it. But we'll see if it gets through past the censor. That's why I wanted to play it, because I need to do something for episode 50 of what makes this song great. I thought that might be a good song to do. Hassan, you can't believe my channel is at 15K. Well, you know what the secret to having my channel stay at around 15K is that I never put any tags in anything. I never put tags in any of the videos. That's why. So that's my secret. Y50 theme song. Okay, so Lukather, it's going to happen. Larry Carlton's going to happen too. I don't have the Rick. I don't have the tracks for the first UK record. If I did, I would already made a video. I'm actually going to play something because I thought about also doing my favorite band, Swerve Driver. I don't know why I don't have these tracks. This is really weird. Why is it that I don't have this? I wonder, this is really bugging me here. I don't even have them in here. I got to add this to there. There's a YouTuber that has alternate tracks from the first UK record. Okay. Oh. I talked to a guy today. This is the other thing I was trying to think of. Yes, I do have some Smith songs, double K. I talked to a guy today that contacted me because of one of my John Bonham videos. He was friends with John Bonham. He's a drummer, British, lives in the U.S. and used to do sessions with played in a band that the band that was Robert Plant and Bonham's band before they joined Zeppelin. He was friends with them. Their bands were friends. And he played on a lot of records. He played for Glyn Johns a lot, and Jeff Emmerich. He played with Jimmy Page. So he told me that somebody turned him on. It was not Jason Bonham. Someone turned him on to my John Bonham video on my channel, and he watched it. And he wrote to me. He says that I was dead on with all the stuff I was saying, and it was an earlier video talking about where I talked about his setup, everything. And one of the things I said that he said was really interesting and totally on was when I said that he would come back into the control room, or this is what I thought, is that he would come in, listen to the playback, and say, okay, I'm hitting the crash too loud, or I'm not hitting this hard enough. And he said that was dead on. As a matter of fact, Glyn Johns would say, so he told me a story of, and this apparently is been out in the internet now, that Glyn Johns was recording the first Eagles record. Don Henley said, you think you could turn up the kick drum? And Glyn Johns said, you just need to hit it harder. And the whole idea was that you have to self-balance in the room. And I always would tell drummers that. I'd say, listen, you're bashing the crash cymbal. You're bashing the cymbals. You're covering up your drums. I can't do anything with the mics in the room mics. They are what you are playing. They describe exactly what you play. Okay? If your snare's getting covered, you're either playing like a puss. Oh, it's in the Eagles documentary. Okay. Well, he knew about it from back then because he was around when they were doing those records. But he said that Glenn would say that all the time. All the guys would say that. Jeff Emmerich, that was just the thing. You need to self-balance. So mix your own performance, exactly. And I tell drummers that all the time. Stop bashing the crashes. Play. You should be able to hear that your kit is balanced. And that is the thing that when I hired session guys the few times that I had people play, like Josh Freese or Kenny Aronoff, guys that are pro session guys. Um, like a puss, like a wuss, Jason. Like a wuss, just hitting it like they're hitting it with a wet sock or something, you know. I would be like, you're hitting the snare. It sounds like you're hitting it with a wet sock. It's got nothing on it. So I was like, you got to give it some English. You got to hit that thing. Yeah, so that is a big thing that apparently I wasn't the only one that thought that way, because that's just an obvious thing. That's just an obvious thing when you're making records all the time and you record. I mean, I made 750 albums, and you figure if minimum if they're EPs 5-6 songs, if they're full records more. So let's say I recorded, I don't know, 4,000 drum tracks, something like that. Thousands of drum tracks in many different rooms and studios all over the place. And you begin to realize these. I mean, I realized this as soon as I started recording my own projects. I realized when people, I'd listen to the room mics and it would not be balanced. I can't hear the kick. I can't hear the snare. The cymbals are too loud. The hi-hat, you're chaining on the hi-hat. You're hitting it way too hard. They shouldn't be flopping around like this. And I would put on a record and I say, do you hear John Bonham's hi-hat? He doesn't have them open this far. Maybe on rock and roll. They open only a little bit. Okay? And the hi-hats should never be moving up and down like that. If they are, you're hitting it way too hard. And it gets all over everything. I call it chaining because it's like they're hitting it with a chain. So that's these things are really, really important. Somebody said to me in a comment, Rick, I'd love to hear you demonstrate some more of your ideas, give some more examples of ideas of you playing against a track or something. And I said, dude, what are you talking about? There's like 750 records I produced. I play guitar in 1 million of them, playing guitar solos. Like 3/4 of them I played all the parts on because the people couldn't play. What's up, Warren? See that, Warren? The best drum sounds come from balanced drummers in a great room. Exactly. They have to control they have to mix themselves. So, Warren, what do you call it? Sloshing? What was it? I call it chaining on the hi-hat, when they just bash it and it's just flopping all around and it gets all over everything. You can't get it out of the snare mic. And they're wondering, why does my snare sound weird? Because you're playing the hi-hat about 50 dB too loud. That's why. And you're hitting the snare like a puss. Now hit some rim shots and lighten up on the hi-hat. It's unbelievable. That's the worst. And then they wonder why you have to use a sample. If you look at the videos of people, watch Bonham. These guys don't bash the crashes. They just don't. You'll notice by how much they move. And smashing cymbals, exactly. These guys don't hit the cymbals as hard as you think they do. The old school guys that had great drum sounds. This guy told me too that Glyn Johns, he would use either U47s or U67s for his overheads, because I asked him that, and then he used the D30, which I knew, for the kick drum. AKG mic, big mic. So, Warren, you're going to be at NAMM? We got to hang. I know you're going to be there. I know you're going to be there, Warren. I'm sure you are. You're already there. We got to hang. I got to get my tickets, actually, to come out. Yes, awesome. We'll definitely hang. Wait, does technology lead to worse playing because musicians use it as a crutch? I'm not sure if it leads to bad playing. I think that bad playing is bad playing. It's just bad musicians, you know. One of the things that I talked about with Peter Frampton was this exact thing. I didn't leave this in the video, but about musicians back in the day that, you know, you'd have bands with multiple guys that could sing in them. And I mean, we did talk a little bit about that, but to get a gig back in the 70s or 60s, it was only the best players were out there getting gigs. Really, there weren't the kind of gigs like there are now. And anybody that can, you know, any hack that can afford a drum set can be in a band, and because studios are so plentiful, anybody can go into a recording studio because they have Pro Tools or whatever. Everybody's an expert now, expert musician that never would have seen the inside of a recording studio. I never saw the inside of the first time I ever recorded was on a 4-track cassette, probably 79 when the Tascam came out. I think it was the first time I ever recorded. And that wasn't even in a studio. The first time in a studio was in 1980, and it was in a 16-track studio. That's the first time I ever recorded. It's the first time I ever went in a recording studio was in 1980. I never had an opportunity. I didn't know anyone that ever recorded in a recording studio. I didn't, we had a couple in Rochester, but yeah, that's what we're talking about. The NAM is the National Association of Music Merchants Convention in Anaheim at the end of January. Auto-tune, that's all. I know, there you go, right? That's the other thing, is auto-tune. That's when I had to get out of producing. I couldn't deal with that anymore. You couldn't afford to record in a real recording studio. Exactly. Nobody could. You couldn't, Warren. Unless you had money. And that honestly was the case even in the 90s. I mean, it really was. I was able to go in with my band in the studio. We made a record that cost $20,000 that I made through teaching guitar lessons, and our singer Mark he waited tables. And we paid for our own record that it took a year to make because every time we had to keep saving up money to go back in. We record a few songs at a time. And that's just the way it was, we were lucky that we could make a recording and go in record on tape. It just was not cheap. Decent studios, even back then, a 24-track studio, big studios were $2,000 a day to $2,500 a day. If you went in Southern Tracks, if you went into Royal Tone in LA or NRG, they were all $2,000 to $2,500, and they would constantly upcharge you for a Pro Tools operator or whatever, once Pro Tools came out. But that's how much studios used to be all the time. Southern Tracks here was $2,250, I want to say, a day. I got to do one record there. It was an amazing place. Warren, I remember the local studio was 400 pounds. And the London one was 1,200 pounds. I couldn't afford either in the 80s. I know, right? So I think that for our record with my band, our indie record, I want to say the studio was $500 a day, maybe $750 a day. is what it was. And they had an MCI tape machine, and they had an MCI console. And it was a good console. It was a good room too. It was a great place. They had these massive monitors that sounded killer. They were custom made monitors. They were floor to ceiling thing. Warren, you started your own studio so you could record. Exactly. Tom, we had to practice perfection before going to the studio because how expensive it was. Exactly. You had to. There was no goofing around or anything. And there was no fixing stuff with samples or anything like that. The only people that knew how to do stuff like that were Bob Clearmountain and the old school guys, Andy Wallace, that knew how to use an AMS sampler and trigger it, and you could only do that on big major label records that you'd have time to do that. So to get great drum sounds, that's exactly right, Tom. That's why we're better musicians. Exactly. So talent used to be, that's right. So talent used to be more important because the only ones getting studio time were people that labels thought would make money. Or they would be professional, or they would be more pro bands that could afford to go in the studio. But you couldn't make a record under 20,000. You couldn't make an indie record. It was tough. I mean, you could. Nirvana made Bleach in '89 for $606, but they would make a record in a day. Warren says, if you couldn't play, you couldn't get a gig, any gig. That's so true. That's actually much more concise than I had said it. You couldn't get a gig. If you couldn't play, you couldn't get a gig, any gig. They didn't just give away gigs. You had to have demo tapes. People would listen to them. You go in, it was hard getting a gig. It was very hard getting a gig. Oh my God. There were clubs in Rochester, the Orange Monkey, the Penny Arcade, Scorgies, places that I used to play that it would take months to get a gig. And you'd have to have people vouch for you, you could be an opening band that somebody would bring in, somebody that actually had a gig. I'm glad that I lived through those times. It's the experience was invaluable. Being able to get takes really quickly is that was the thing. Warren, I remember auditioning for gigs in London, 40 or 50 people for up and coming bands. Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, that was it. That's why there aren't the bands like there used to be. And it's a lot of it's due to the technology. They had ads in the back of Melody Maker. You'd apply not knowing who they were. Warren, when I moved to New York in '94 or '93, I opened up the Village Voice, and that's how I started auditioning for groups because you didn't know who they were. So the first group that I went and played with was with Adam Schlesinger. He had a band called Ivy that's still together. Ivy. They're a great band, 3-piece. They have a female singer, Dominique French, and they had made their first record called Realistic, and it was a great record. They hadn't even released it yet. And they were looking for somebody that could play multiple instruments, and I auditioned, and I got the gig. Even though I only played with them I did a couple of rehearsals with them, that was it. And then I ended up getting in 5 different bands. I've told that story before on one of my videos, but every band you auditioned for, you had no idea. It could be somebody famous. It could be, you never knew who you were auditioning for. Tom, you were on the road. What was that? For years doing hotels throughout the country. It was a lot of fun. You know, I don't. I had somebody say something in a comment the other day about, oh, how come I don't know what I'm talking about. There's plenty of things on the club circuits that that people can play. Something about some comment, and I said, I wasn't interested in going out and playing. I was a jazz musician in my 20s. I wasn't interested in going out and playing in cover bands. It's like, what? They call it disposable bands. They're in and out, no longevity. Yeah, well, at least CBGB's was still open in 94. I think that the last time I went to CBGB's was probably 1994, honestly. I can't remember. My band Billionaire never played CB's. I played CB's at least 100 times though in other bands. Warren, you went to the Queen movie. It made you cry. Went back home and watched Queen Live Aid. Now that was a live band. I know, right? I'm working on a video about Brian May's guitar that I want to do because I think it'd be an interesting video. J-Bone, so you actually know one song of Ivy. Okay. Jeff Buckley played... did he play CB's? I'm sure he did, but I saw him at Chenet all the time because that was 30 yards from my apartment. This is totally an aside, but I went with Dylan for him to get his hair cut yesterday. And his hair had gotten really long. And I said, Dylan, you want your hair cut shorter? What do you want? Your old haircut, your old Beatles haircut? And he said, I don't know. Kids, they don't know. And I said, well, my dad wouldn't let me have long hair. I got a buzz cut in the 60s. And even though I wanted to have long hair. And I said, but Dylan, you can have long hair. Your hair looks good long. So I had Charlene that cuts his hair, trim his hair, just so now it's all kind of one length. And Dylan, he doesn't care at all. But, and then my wife, I was expecting her to say, I thought you were going to get his hair cut, but she didn't say anything when he got home. So I said, look, we can always get it cut, more later on. But it's just pretty funny that thinking back to the 60s and 70s, I didn't get to have a good. My dad didn't care later on, but okay. Queen live in Rio. Let's see here. So I was talking about Queen. I was talking about Brian May's video where he talks about Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay, and he talks about how Freddie, he's sitting there listening to the multi-tracks. He talks about how on songs like that were piano driven, they'd be piano, bass, and drums would track live, and Brian would do all overdubs. And if they were doing something like a Tie Your Mother Down or, Stone Cold Crazy, whatever, that were guitar-based songs that Freddie would sit out and they do guitar, bass, and drums for the basic tracks. But the thing that he was so matter of fact about how great Freddie's harmonies were. They weren't just great; they were insane. And I think that he's kind of, I think he just was so used to being in a band with somebody so good that he had no perspective. I was thinking, like, man, Brian, you should have played in some bad bands or something before. with some really bad singers. I mean, the harmony parts on Bohemian Rhapsody, on really all Queen, are astounding. He had to have had perfect pitch, no question about it. There's no possible way he could keep his pitch and do those overdubs perfectly like that. The thing about it that that Brian said was that Freddie was really involved on those songs, telling Brian what to play or giving him ideas on what to play. Yeah, Queen would block stuff. Yeah, those harmony parts though, man. So they would triple track a lot of them. They would, I guess, triple them, but they'd be multiple parts, so you'd have 5 parts tripled, you know? Hypothetic, would you buy 6 PRS SEs or 1 real Paul Reed Smith? I'm actually going up to interview Paul Reed Smith coming up in about 3 weeks. So I'll ask him that. That would be good. That would be a hilarious question. So Paul, is it more worth it for somebody to buy 6 PRS SEs or 1 real PRS? Boy, that would be a hilarious. That would be a great question, actually. He'd probably crack up at that. And then I'll tell him I won't use it in there. Hope he's in a good mood when I interview him. You better be in a good mood, or he's going to get a bad interview. All right, I better go here. I've been on for an hour and 7. Thank you, everyone. Warren, great to see you. You guys are the best. I got a new video coming out in the morning. So there you go. It's going to be brighter. You guys are awesome. Have a great night. Warren, we're going to catch up in person at NAMM. Not Vietnam. Let's see you guys.